Hey everyone, welcome back to the next episode of Tech Productions. Today, Minecraft joins again by Jimmy and Jake.
No.
What's going on, y'all?
And today's matchup is Jimmy versus Jake. Jimmy's brought us Set 20 Android 21, and Jake has brought back Gotenks, which is a deck I don't think I've seen Jake play much at all. Guys, there's buttons, links, check them out. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I actually play this deck so little. I only had one copy of the structure deck for it, so I'm missing a couple of key pieces, but I figured I'd try the list out anyway, and ended up having a pretty decent time playing it this weekend. I don't know if you guys saw the mirror image cut there, where it went so fast, the recording didn't even pick up how quickly I cut Jimmy's deck.
Yeah, that shit was crazy. He was like, "Want me to cut it again?" And I was like, that would break space-time continuum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see I'm laying my hand on the table right here. It's because my hands are so hot from the speed that if I pick up my cards right now, they'll catch on fire.
I believe that is true. I believe that is true. It could be also because I'm going to be searching top 5 for 30 minutes here. That could be an option too.
Yeah, I might have just got bored.
Yeah, for some reason, Bandai thought it'd be a good idea to put the words "look at the top 5 cards" on every single card with the Android tag on it. In this particular set, or well, I guess Measureless Strength is not this set, but this is like the dream opening for 21. Get pretty much any charge. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to have a multicolor on turn 1, but seeing Mandatory Gathering and a Measureless Strength to throw down, plus the top 5 search off of the leader, which you strike a life. So you plus pretty hard, and you cycle out for better cards. I think that's one of the biggest strengths of 21 is like you really don't have a bad hand. You do have some bricks, but like most of the time your hand could be any assortment of 6 cards from the top of the deck, and it'll still be pretty decent.
Yeah, you'll end up being okay.
And very, very similar to a card in Gotenks, where you pretty much have a 1-card starter called Gokul, which if you somehow watch these videos out of order, this was the second time we've recorded this because Bancroft's a buffoon.
Thanks for calling me out on that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're the editor and all that shit, so like you get all the flack. But we love Bancroft here sometimes.
He's just catching strays left and right.
And that was the token off Mandatory Gathering play. We just caught it late, but I don't think it really matters. But we talked about in the last video the Gotenks engine, just like every card in it just kind of being insane.
Yeah, it was insane when it first came out, and when they rebooted it, it just got better.
Yeah, like they printed one of the best cards for the entire engine on a Unison, which still blows my mind.
Yeah, and all of the updated stuff, like the updated leader, the free fusion with Gotenks Fusion Confusion, like all of that stuff really sends the deck into like a new direction, where before you would almost play kind of like hand control but with big battle card pressure, and you would just draw a ton of cards and at the end of the game have more stuff than your opponent. Where this deck you could either go quick or try and play out a longer game depending on how you tune your deck.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of the Gotenks package, even though I hate setting across from it because every card in it makes me fucking mauled. But like Gotenks, just talk about Grim Reaper of Justice, like that, or is it Grim Reaper of Justice?
Yeah, the fusion
blue one,
6-drop.
Yeah, there's another one that's like Grim Reaper as well, but the green 6-drop, like just talk about that card for a minute because that card is nuts.
Yeah, so it's a 2 energy When you fuse into it, you draw 2 cards and KO one of your opponent's battle cards. And then if it gets removed from, it's a 25k dual attack, so it can either attack more battle cards or attack your opponent twice. And then if it gets removed or KO'd, so even if your opponent tries to attack it down, you get to pick up the pieces that you fused into it with out of your drop area. And another big key to that is that if you're properly set up with your Vegito Unison, you'll get to draw a card. And a lot of the Gotenks and Trunkses in the deck have effects when you fuse with them. Like I think I'm about to resolve one right here. Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm going to get to go look at the top 7 and look for a 2-cost Unison. I just found one really early, so I didn't really care to keep digging. Yeah, you just get a ton of value off of playing that card, and then get more value when it gets removed. I don't know why I put this in the warp. That kind of threw me off. I'm pretty sure I correct it.
Yeah, we do correct it. I think it's like 1 or 2 actions after this. It does not matter. Because I don't think there's any way to recur that card. So even if it was in the warp and stayed there, I don't think it would have changed much. No. I'm not out here playing Mega Gabora. I don't care about what's in your warp.
Here's Grim Reaper right here.
This card, just like the amount of frustration that I have with this card, doesn't matter what the game state is, doesn't matter like what the context of this card coming down is, but like every time I see it, it just makes me want to throw up.
It's probably the most value you can get off of a fusion now that Triumphant Together is banned.
I could see that. And you did a very good job of clearing my board, even on 2 energy, being able to clear 3 battle cards, even though like 2 of them are really non-threats. One of them was a energy. If you're not familiar with how 21 works, I can tap my 21Z battle cards as they were energy. So like you did a very good job of clearing the board here, and it put me on the back foot. If you're struggling against the 21 matchup, just deal with their Z battle cards. The Z battle cards do a lot of work in the deck, and if you can stop them from coming out or just deal with them once they're on the board before they get a good amount of their value, you're going to be in a very good spot against 21. Even if you're in the blue v blue matchup where usually 21 has the upper hand, dealing with those Z battle cards is going to be huge. And here I do actually debate about going back into my 2-drop Z stack into the 4-drop, and I was like, no, that's actually a dumb idea, and you were kind enough to let me take that back.
You hadn't even really taken your hand off of it yet. Like, there's no way it was like fully resolved. You know what I mean?
I decided just to skip the 2-drop, go directly into 4-drop. I would get the Z stack trigger. I Z stack the Vegito, which is just there for keyword skills, and then also the Grim Reaper, which would have gave me dual attack as an option. I think here I go for triple strike off of the Vegito.
You do. I remember that.
Just to put a little bit of pressure, even though it's only 20k triple strike, it's still a triple strike. And it's going to get some sort of response. And there we were catching the Z energy. I could have chose dual attack and then, put a little bit of pressure on the leader with, a single strike attack, and then restood for energy to use on your turn. But I felt like the triple strike was enough to like kind of get you thinking a little bit.
It definitely threw me off there. You see, I tried to draw off a super combo before I was at 4 life, so it definitely made me respect the attack.
Because you do have a quite of a life lead, but 21 is a very resilient deck. You pretty much decide when you get to take life once you're at 4 or less life with 21. So I felt really good, but I knew I needed to start working on the life at some point. Also, Faded Rivals, that card's sick.
Yeah. Being able to put your super combos back into your deck, especially with Gotenks where I'm searching and shuffling all the time, uh, ends up being really good. Unfortunately, here I kind of attack out of order and get punished super hard for it. That's one of my personal struggles with the 21 matchup when I'm in green or in blue, is that you really have to play your turn completely differently than what you would normally play it. And for somebody like me that is switching decks, not all the time, not as much as Bancroft, but I switch decks relatively often. Sometimes I forget like the finer points of how to conduct my turn, and 21 is just so good at punishing you for making those small mistakes.
We've mentioned it before, and other people have mentioned it before. 21 is a deck that that gets the value of being blue Android and also have access to some green cards, or every blue green card really, but also plays like a yellow deck, where your opponent's sequencing is incredibly important. And I think that's another struggle against 21, because you're not only playing against the idea of blue and green cards, but you're also thinking about like the strongest parts of yellow, which is just tapping down cards and making them non-threats. So 21 is just a massive toolbox that really punishes your opponent's small mistakes. Where normally they would be small mistakes, 21 turns them into game-shifting mistakes.
Yeah, there's a couple of actions I make throughout this game where I just basically get punished for playing my deck. And I think that's a lot of players' frustration with this matchup, is that the correct way to play against this deck, I don't know if you can remember all the way back on turn 1, I played a 1-drop that I could then pick up off of the table and take back to my hand. It's strange because, like, to play against the deck properly, you don't want to play cards. So makes it a really difficult matchup to navigate, especially if you play the game casually.
Like 21 is a deck that you both have to respect, and if you respect it too much, then you're just going to lose, because you're being controlled and you're going to get controlled into the ground. 21, like it's a thin line of balancing on how you're going to play, because you have to put threats on the board to kill 21, but 21 also is going to get gas off of that. I really like the way 21 plays, and I've had a lot of fun and a lot of really good matches. One of my favorite matches was me and you, Jake. We played. You were playing Ape Coup at the time, and that was a greaser of a match, because you held back so well, and like I had no gas to fight against you, because you were only putting out cards when you needed to, and that was a really fun match. I wish we could have got that one on camera.
Yeah, it was like a 7-turn slugfest. And I think in one of our videos, Bancroft's like doing a deck profile in the other room, and you hear everybody spectating our game just like, oh my god, oh shit, like reacting to everything we're doing.
Then Gokyo coming down, card is absurd.
Especially against blue, I forget about this, where normally when you pop the Gotenks, it just goes to the drop and it's gone, But because blue is one of those decks that will put it back into the deck at the bottom of it, it's just researchable with the Goku, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's almost like your 6-drops are never really gone.
But like we talked about earlier, against 21, with a counterplay and window timing too, because you are playing for skill, it just gets tapped back down, which really hurts.
Yeah, this is probably the most frustrating sequence of the game for me.
Wavering Will is by far the best 21 card. The card is just so good, and like on first read, it doesn't sound amazing. It's a counterplay, crit blocker 20k, which good stats. If it's played on your opponent's turn, you get to draw a card. If it's played on your turn, she gets to restand at the end of the turn. Solid card, but when you pair it with the leader and you think about the leader's permanent being able to tap down cards, the you just tap down if the card's being played by skill and you can play her in window 2, you could target that card to just tap it down, and that gets around barrier, it gets around deflect. The only card that it doesn't do anything against is now banned. So like this is just a counterplay for everything if you're playing the 21 leader. Like I'm in love with Wavering Will. I think it's by far the best card in the entire deck.
I think the fact that the leader's ability is a game mechanic, it gets past barrier, makes that counterplay so much more stronger. Like you said earlier, it gets past barrier, it gets past anything. And against someone, if you play a card with a skill, it will probably get tapped down before you even get a chance to do anything with it. And Beerus, by the way, is such a good bluesy battle card as well.
I was so down on the card when I first played it. I originally played it in 3-Han, so I didn't have a lot of energy to sink into it, and I was like, this card's kind of mid. Like it's okay, but it's kind of mid. And then when I played it in a blue deck where I had more than 3 energy, I was like, this card's like snap.
Yeah, you play it in blue Beerus or something that's gonna go like really long. It's just an excellent way to spend your energy.
Like ton of value on the card, and you get to choose when you really pay the cost for it. You have to pay the 2 energy up front, but you kind of get to see how your opponent's floodgate setup, how their defending turn is going to go before you have to invest the additional 2 energy, which is just it's so good.
Yeah, not having to pay the full cost, like you can pay for the effect in pieces, really gives the card a lot of flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, I'm just charging my Gotenkses because I don't think they're ever going to have an impact on the game again. Even though they have deflect, like Jimmy said, Wavering Will just kind of gets around them. Mm-hmm. And I'm really kind of struggling here as to how to conduct my turn. I mean, Jimmy has, I think, a small hand lead on me at this point, and a small life lead as well. So, yeah.
And I didn't have the energy to Wavering Will here because it is a 3 specified blue, and only having 2 blue up and no blue to tap on your side. The Kuzu comes in clutch here, 2-drop. Gonna bottom deck the card as well as a card from hand. You do get, still a lot of value off of playing it. You get to draw a lot of cards and you get your pieces back. But it's still better than looking at a 25k dual attacker.
So Hatch over Android 21.
Yes. The 21 secret rare is super strong. It's a fantastic secret rare. I think Baby Hatch is just kind of just a better alternative to that. The field wipe on 21 is really, really nice because it includes unisons, and it's a big body dual attack. The healing is okay, but I had not had a single match of 21 where those 2 extra life won me the game. And what I mean by that is, like, if I'm at 3 life in a case like this, if I play 21 and then heal 2, my opponent never dealt 3 more damage to me, where that 2 life would have saved me. It's always like 1 or 2, never the 3 or 4 or whatever I healed from. So I felt like Baby Hatch is just a better secret rare option because it's just a turnover and then follow up with a bad omen for the game. Cards snapped. But I felt like it's easier to just say, I'm not even going to let you deal damage to me, instead of going, I'm going to play reactive and heal back that damage you've done to me. So that's my why I choose Baby Hatch over the 21 secret rare.
Fair enough. And with that means I think our opportunity. Keep in mind, there's buttons down below, links in the description. Check them out.